email? What does it mean?
Communication is the imparting or exchanging of information or news.
The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Conversation is the oral exchange of sentiments, observations, opinions, or ideas.
Forbes Books Radio presents The Conversation with Clinton M. Padgett.
We resume our conversation with Dr. Olga Kubassova, founder and CEO at Image Analysis Group, co-author of 60-plus publications, and a 4-time winner of National and International Entrepreneur of the Year awards. We begin part 2 with a discussion about the impact being accepted into Goldman Sachs' mini-MBA program had on her and her career.
So Goldman Sachs came completely suddenly with an agenda to educate 10,000 businesses in business ventures. I applied and they accepted me on the program. And at the time, I think I was 3 years into running business. Looking at spreadsheet was definitely not on my radar. Or thinking about marketing or, finance, HR, you pick it, right?
Yeah.
What was on my radar is building software, right? I'm a software developer. So now how do you make a CEO out of somebody who wants to build software? And I think this mini-MBA was just centered around that. It was really remarkable because these guys basically took, 100 CEOs across Europe, UK, and I think they opened it up in other countries. And over a course of few weeks, every weekend, we learned about marketing. Next weekend, we learned about finance. Next weekend, we learned about HR. And friends from that program, who, for instance, one of them was running HR firm. So she just started her HR firm. So she's now my HR department. And it's amazing because obviously she needed to learn maybe something else complementary like marketing or whatever it might be. For me, it was totally eye-opening. So it's really turning that PhD kind of, academic background into what a business could look like.
Right. And how long was that program?
It was about a year, I think. I might have missed a few weekends, so maybe I still don't know all of the subjects to know on the business side of things.
So 50 lessons, let's say. Okay.
That's about it, yeah.
You also mentioned in that same interview that IAG, you create partnerships of 2 teams, both your own and then at the client, to develop and execute imaging strategies for their clinical development programs, and then trying to distill as much data as fast as possible, because as a pharma company, they need to make decisions quite fast. And I was wondering, how does that affect how you set up teams when you have separately located teams who need to work together?
Absolutely. So we start working with our clients at the very early stage because a lot of the decisions on the trial design, how the endpoints, how measurements within that trial are going to be used, need to be made at the design stage. And if you get the design wrong, then your execution will be, based upon wrong design. So we talk about expertise, and for instance, to set up a trial successfully and really think through a protocol, you need to have a very well thought through imaging part of that protocol. It affects the type of patients you're going to select. It also affects the type of measurements you're going to take to prove the efficacy of your drug and sometimes safety. So we work at that stage, and we have a multidisciplinary scientific advisory board. We have AI team and radiology team who all would come to scientific advisory committee or board meetings or scientific advisory meetings, and we would help with that protocol design. Your next big step is execution. Execution is about setting up a multi-stakeholder kind of consortium, I would say, around getting this drug from A to B. So from we don't know if it's worked to definitely works, right? And that consortium of collaborators will include clinical sites who will acquire images and who will send those images on the cloud. It will include radiology readers who will be looking at those images. It will also include multidisciplinary teams. And it's actually good to be in multiple locations because as long as you can connect multiple stakeholders, and we do it via our platform Dynamica, so you could really see what's happening at the site level, at the reading level, at the project management level. it's beneficial to be in multiple geographies because your response rate is much faster. You can catch problems much faster. You can react to them much faster. So having a cloud-based platform in-house and being agile and flexible around this cloud-based platform is a very important aspect of managing distributed collaborations.
So you spoke about the positivity of being geographically separate. Are there any special protocols you have to follow to make sure things don't fall through the cracks?
Oh, yes. So this is a highly regulated industry. So the patient data needs to be anonymized. You have to follow HIPAA and GDPR guidelines. There are 21 CFR Part 11 guidelines. There is a whole list of guidelines. And of course, software, service, teams all have to be qualified and compliant.
And how do you handle the handoffs between, because I know that obviously one of the advantages of being global is when I go to sleep, somebody else picks it up and runs with it during their day, which is my night and all that. But is there anything unique that you have to do to really handle the transitions between the two or multiple groups?
In Star Wars, you have this operating control, right? So this operating control we have among all our studies and among all the players on those studies. So all data is visible in real time. So you know what data is coming, what data is good, what data is bad, who is a project manager, who touched the data. So we have an audit trail across the system. So basically when something is happening on a system from the clinical sites to the system or being touched by somebody, we definitely know it. It's a kind of sleepless 24/7 process. And then, of course, you have to manage it, and being in different geographies, teams have to collaborate with each other.
So last question on this kind of tack, then I'll go to something different. But what do you see as the key to success when working collaboratively with your partner teams?
So I think it's very important that we find the right team at the client side. So we are technical radiology specialists, right? At the client side, it's a drug development specialist. So it's a different language and you need to translate that. But I think what unites us all is a common goal of getting to the success, to the finishing line, which is going to spell success on it. And once you have the right players on both sides, you move so fast. And it's also so much joy and fun to work together that people generally stay after first project. We stay for many, many more projects together. And even if people move the company, they bring us with them. So it's a real kind of click. And I suppose sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. But as long as you both have that vision for success of this particular treatment, then I'm pretty confident we can find common language.
Nice. So in what areas have you seen the most changes within your industry, and how has that impacted what you do as a leader?
So generally in the industry, I think people want to move faster. I think there is a lot of competition in drug development in biotech companies, especially in the markets where there are no treatments or there are limited options for patients. We see musculoskeletal osteoarthritis market, we see glioblastoma market, rare diseases where there are no available options. You see speed really matters. So you try to design your trial and set it up in such a way that you get data faster. And that's one trend. Second trend, which I see, you want to kill something which is not going to work quickly. And that's majority of our pharmaceutical partners who have big pipelines and they have several shots on goal, right? They have 5 compounds who could potentially solve lung cancer. They want to know which one is the most efficacious and kill the other 4 because it's not worth taking them through the trial. So again, data helps you to do it, and we do it very successfully with them. So understanding how we run this, competition protocol, so to say. And I think the most impactful probably profile is aging, so longevity and aging. I think that is just naturally occurring, and that's why some of the diseases which might have been not even considered to be serious disease now are quite serious, because you have an older population who wants to be active, who wants to be in their mind. So Alzheimer's, osteoarthritis, obesity, liver diseases, you just look at it, so it's amplifying the importance of having those diseases cured or at least supported. And I think that's what we're seeing in terms of indication.
Now, as a founding member of the 2% Club, which supports women in leadership positions, what inspired you to start that organization?
So I wasn't a starter. I was a member to support. And I think it's critically important for women to be empowered by looking at other women. And it's incredibly important to think how many women have inspired me in my life, right? I came from technical industry, no women inside. And somebody told me that it's okay to be a mathematician, right? It's probably my mother. But right now, you look around and you see mentors. You see real conversations on LinkedIn or podcasts, how other women trying to say it's fine to be a mother and a CEO. It's totally acceptable by society now. You don't need to be somebody else you don't need to be. And I think that's a matter of, being just in one club in one place. Doesn't matter if it's virtual or real. But as a female leaders, I almost feel it's a legacy has to be for the next generation. I don't know what the next generation is going to be like. Maybe that's not going to be even a problem, which is exactly the world we want to be in.
I'm with you on that one. So are there other things you do to try to lift and empower women as well outside of the 2% Club?
So it's quite a lot of speeches, so I give inspirational talks to younger generation, to in the events. And it's also, I think my only message is never be afraid of anything. It doesn't matter what gender you are, what color, gender, age, it's really irrelevant. If you have a goal, you should just go for it.
I like that. That's a message for everybody. Yeah. So you're a 4-time winner of National and International Entrepreneur of the Year awards, and that just seems like an amazing honor. And what do you attribute this success?
Thank you. So I'll tell you the first story about this Entrepreneur of the Year, my very first award, because I think it's quite funny. I was about 6 months in running the company. So I just started it. I had no office. I had one guy, my friend, who was writing software with me. And I was thinking, what am I doing? Am I wasting my time? But, I got a grant and I was about to finish this grant. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to close this company down. Honestly, one customer, not going to happen, right? 6 months in. And then Yorkshire Forward, I think it was the organization which gave me a grant, awarded me Entrepreneur of the Year. And I was like, damn it, I can't close this company now because I just have to receive this award. And so I received the award. I thanked everybody, gave a speech. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to pass this event, just going to close the company down. And in 2 months, we got our first customer who happened to be Abbott Laboratories, the largest pharmaceutical company in the world.
That's a pretty good second client.
It was incredible. And of course, after that, I never looked back, right? But that very first Entrepreneur of the Year probably saved this company from being closed down because you do have a lot of doubts when you open a business. You really question the existence of the company and yourself many times. And of course, your friends and family do help you to question it even further, right? So you have to persevere. And I think then after that, it was great. I think another Entrepreneur of the Year we received for technology innovation. So it was remarkable to be on the cloud at the time. Then another award was for tremendous growth in this industry. And I think in total, in our office, we have about 20 awards of all kinds: Women of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, Technology of the Year. And each of them really meant a lot at the time. It was kind of an acknowledgement. And when you're not yet successful commercially or you're not established, these little acknowledgements are so, so important.
It's a nice way to go back to your family and friends who are questioning you to go, well, clearly I'm doing something right. I don't see any Entrepreneur of the Year on your mantles.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was a great argument over there. Everybody was doing something, like joining bigger companies and doing some bigger jobs, right?
Yes. I mean, that's amazing to get Abbott Labs as your second client. That's just amazing. That's That's great.
It was pretty lucky and amazing. Yes, we're still grateful to them for all of the research efforts they provided to help us that established the company. So we always speak highly of them.
I mean, you say luck, and I'm sure luck played some small part in it, but I find that people who work hard tend to be lucky. So I think there's a causation there. I think the hard work is what causes the luck.
It's being in the right place, in the right time, with the right people. And I think you need to run really fast because you need to be in many places because some of them are not right? I was extremely lucky with my mentors, with people who supported me along the way. And to this day, right, I could just look at our scientific advisory board and even the most recent joiners who we met a year ago or two ago. It's mentors, it's incredible, like human capital, knowledge-based people. And being around those people, that what makes this business so interesting and exciting every day.
Nice. So let's look forward a little bit then. We talk about your past and the clients and all the awards and your education. What legacy do you want to leave behind in the industry?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you know, on a personal level, I think it would be nice to see that more companies from academia are being started and succeed. Because at the time when I started, it was so new. Nobody really knew what to do with knowledge or with their PhDs, and everything ended up on the shelf. So from my personal point of view, it would be great to see more success just starting from PhD research and finding its way into real industry. But legacy-wise, if IAG already helped to get drugs on the market, right? So we could say, we as a company help these people to receive better treatment. If we can save few more lives, few millions of lives, few trillions of lives, as many as we can, that would be the tremendous legacy which we could leave behind as a team.
So, you're actually just talking about people starting companies. And for somebody who is trying to start their own company, what advice would you give them?
Well, first, to be very sure you want to do it and remember the reasons behind it. Maybe write them down and look at them from time to time because it's hard. And then another advice I would say is don't give up easily. I know there is a lot of culture of giving up so easily and, I'm not a unicorn, by tomorrow I give up. It takes time and it takes effort and it takes everything out of you to succeed. And I think if you're there, just being there, it's already a success. So not giving up and having a lot of courage to just be what you want to be.
I think that's a really important piece of advice because as somebody who also runs a company, there are a lot of challenges, and I'm a hard-headed person and stubborn. And so I see the way and I stay the course. But I feel like in today's environment, it's everybody's fail fast, and you don't give yourself a chance to succeed because if it doesn't hit right away, you're off to something else. And your first idea could have been a home run. You just had to give it more time.
And also the first idea probably needs a little bit of adjustment, right? The idea is idea, but how do you find this place in the industry for this idea? Could be in multiple ways, like in my case, we build software, but turned out this software is useful in drug development. And if we didn't try to adjust it, we would still be building software and maybe not really seeing the impact of that software as much as we're seeing it today.
Well, Amazon started off as books, and they're everything besides books now, right?
Sure, for sure.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, that's an amazing question. In the life of a company, you always have ups and downs. And I was very lucky with my board members and early investors into the business. I had support beyond imaginable. And I remember at some point there was a low year, I don't know, it was not a great something in the business. And I went to one of my very early investors. His name was Sir Peter Thompson. He passed away recently, but he was a very famous, recognized entrepreneur here in England. And he said to me,
I'm going to say it to you once and, I'm going to write it to you on a piece of paper and you just keep this piece of paper. And I do keep that piece of paper. He said, you are the CEO and you tell everybody else what to do. And if they disagree with what you said, here's a door. And you just do what you think is the best. It was at the time when I was under 30 years old, I think. I had a very strong, opinionated people around me. And just being able to hear that from someone really empowers you. And it was real. It was maybe not the greatest advice. I don't know if that's correct advice for all of the turns of life. But at the time, I remember holding a call to say, okay, dear people, I'm the CEO. I decided to do that. And if you disagree, please, exit the business. We're good without you. It was a moment when you remember for life.
I think I agree. It's not maybe the right thing for all turns in life, but I think at that moment, it sounds like it was perfect for you. And I also think there's a difference between listening to other people's opinions, but still being strong in yours and making a decision and saying, I hear what you're saying, but here's the direction I think we should go. We're going to go this direction. And if you can't support that, then, because then you've listened, you've heard them, and then you still made your decision and moved on. So I think that's good. Are there any leadership principles that speak to you personally and guide your day-to-day behaviors?
Well, I suppose that's an interesting question because there are a lot of leadership principles, right? But I think the one which really speaks to me is always hiring people who are better than you and try to make sure that they give you advice on what needs to happen next in your business.
I like that. I know it's hard. You have to hire people that are better than you and let them do their job, right? So it's just, sometimes it's hard, but we have to do it that way for sure.
When you start the business, it's really easy. Pretty much everybody is better than you at that stage.
That's a good attitude to have for sure. For sure.
But then as you progress, I think the business outgrows many people, and people kind of outgrow the business. And I think you really need to look always for the next level leadership. You need to think about, kind of few steps ahead, and then, people take you there.
So that's interesting. I think, first of all, not everybody recognizes that you need to hire people, I think, originally that are smarter than you. I think that's a great comment. And the second point I think is good that you recognize is that the business does tend to outgrow the people you bring on when you first found a company. You hire the people that can do the job, and at some point, hopefully the company grows and perhaps it does outstrip the skills of the people that you brought on initially, which I know is hard because those are the people that you feel closest to because they were part of the original core team, and maybe their skill set just doesn't fit 5 years down the road.
When you're running an enterprise, when it's starting from zero, going somewhere, then you literally cannot afford any good people at the beginning. I'm only joking. We had amazing people from the start, but your resources are limited, so you can take, some of your peers, some of your friends. As soon as you make your first dollar, you should invest it into people. And I think that's what we've been doing for years. And currently, management team is a top notch, and you could see the difference. But would I be able to afford this management team a few years back? Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, what is the best book or article you read recently, and what was the key takeaway?
It's a good one. So I think, for me, it's really a bunch of articles combined into one magazine, and it's a Harvard Business Review, I think bi-monthly or quarterly. I don't know. I receive them all and read them religiously. It's a very interesting read for somebody who doesn't come necessarily from business background, but wants to sharpen their thinking around how the businesses really work globally. And the case studies which they bring out, I think there are two good things about them. One is it's very timely. So the magazine is very timely. So whatever happens today, they address problems today. And second good thing is if they were wrong in any given time, they actually bring the article where they were wrong about something as a reference to the new thinking, which of course tells you that you cannot be right about things without a hindsight. And I think that makes it a very valuable read.
No, I agree. I like the Harvard Business Review as well. So this has been really great. And if people want to learn more about you or about IAG, how can they do that?
Well, the best way to connect is probably LinkedIn. So my name, my surname together. IAG also has a LinkedIn page. We stand for Image Analysis Group. Obviously, there is a website, and we likewise, we want to learn about people, what they think from business, from pharma, how drugs being developed, how imaging can help, how AI is impacting them. And it's a two-way conversation always.
Dr. Kubassova, this has really been great. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to The Conversation. To find out more about Clint, go to clintonmpaget.com and pick up Clint's book, How Teams Triumph, Managing by Commitment, at Amazon. The Conversation with Clinton M. Paget is a production of Forbes Books.